Hey YouTube, this guitar is back. Aye, this is my pal who lives just up around the corner. I got back because probably this guitar, the story about this one is, I think it was round about 1999 or the very end, just round about the turn of millennium. He found it in a skip. I think it was him that carved year zero on it because it was 2000. And it's got a sheriff badge on it. And I've intentionally tried not to clean it because I think I understand he's got a sort of thing. Like, I found that in a skip, so he wants it to look like it found in a skip, which it does. But obviously it plays actually really good. It's actually a Japanese, got it made in Japan on the neck plate. I don't know. It's not the same as the Tempest. It's got does it have? No, it's got a more correct groove on here. So if this ever was a brand, you don't know, but these things. Yeah, as I always say, but these things, shops buy in the late 70s, or the 70s and the 80s, shops bought in guitars from Japanese factories, and got their brand put on it. Your, I've considered Arbiter, Grant, CSL, CMI, all these like Tempest, all these things, whatever your shop is. I think it only counted if you bought. It probably cost a little bit more to get a logo put on it. So if it was maybe a small guitar shop and you only ordered half a dozen guitars, it's probably not worthy of getting a silkscreen logo and all that stuff. So it might never been branded. It was just a Japanese Strat copy. Because remember, back in these days, you didn't get Epiphones and Squires, and there wasn't like a big pile of guitars that were available at the lower end. You could probably get a Fender or a Gibson, but the shop would maybe only have one or two of them, and then lots of sort of ones that weren't very good. Basically, this middle range, when you get to this sort of, I think the equivalent of £300 or £400 sort of thing, giggable, not as expensive as a Fender, but not like a cheap and nasty thing with broken bits on it. I mean, the tuners don't look particularly good, but they work. The bridge. It's one of the steel C-section bridges. Yeah, but it works. So when I had this in, I think probably last year, maybe the year before actually, I put a P90 in the bridge, and actually Lee helped me out when I was trying to send a guitar to Canada. Actually, I got the Canadian chap to organise the courier and stuff, so I had to pick it up. It's up here, no problem. Printer's out, ink, so I've got ink. Put it up, couldn't get the thing to work. And I just happened to, I was in a panic, 9:30 in the morning. I think it was 9:30 on the Friday morning, between 9:30 and 12:30 when the courier was meant to be coming, and it was now 5 o'clock at night, and I couldn't get it printed out, and I had no way, I can't go to the library. So I contacted a few folk that lived nearby, Lee, and he's like, up here, "Hi, send me the thing, I'll sign it out for you. I'll print it out for you and bring it home away from work." So he totally saved my car, basically, and I got it away. And then he's like, "While you're here, you can pick up my Strat," which I was talking to you about, because I was ended up talking to him for half an hour on a guy's doorstep, because there's a guitar street up the road. It's only, I don't know, a few hundred yards up the road, and there's 3 people I've fixed guitars for who all live like in the same side of the same street. So it's a very guitar orientated street. And when I was at the door dropping off, I fixed a wee Black Star amp for a young guy who lives next door to him. And I pressed the doorbell, and I wasn't sure whether it worked, and then Lee just happened to us. Lee, how's it going? So I ended up talking there for half an hour. So I was half an hour late, and the doorbell didn't work. Actually, I looked through, I was up here, I don't know, I better text him, make sure it's up here. Yeah, knock the door, the doorbell's burst, like that. Oh. So I wasn't half an hour late. I was there, but I was outside the front talking to Lee about this. So he said, it's an Epiphone. These are out of his Epiphones. It's an Epiphone neck humbucker, and it's not coil splittable. And it's like, with these things, because they're full of wax and stuff, yes, I could do it, but it's going to take me, it's going to cost money. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of, just add the extra wires, there we go. Can sort of do that when they're not covered, but when they're covered and sealed up, you have to Dremel off the cover, because the solder that holds the back plate on isn't the solder that you use for thinging. So I don't know if it's plumber's solder or something like that. You can hold your solder iron on it for weeks and it just never melts. So you have to cut it off and then take it out, and then there's all the wax everywhere. So I didn't do that. He didn't want, I was happy, just do whatever you want with the wiring, which is always a dangerous thing with me. But he didn't want any more switches. He wanted, and he likes this, the fact that this knob is wrong and all these things. But he wanted to still be the guitar he found in a skip. So I did some new wiring, which I've never done before. I've never heard of anyone else do before. I'm going to give him this guitar before this video. So when you see this video, it won't be tonight because I haven't given him the guitar back. It might if he picks it up tonight, it might be tomorrow's video. Yeah. So all the knobs at full. P90 in the bridge. All good. Humbucker in the neck. I could maybe raise it up a bit. It's not as loud as I thought it was going to be. And then in the middle, both of them. Kind of there. But what he said before was he was wanting like a coil tap because he felt when this pickup was in the Epiphone, it was a bit muddy and not very good. But it's a different scale length and all that stuff. So that's the pickup I put in. He was saying, why don't you put the bridge pickup in? It's like bridge pickups might likely to be much more powerful, and you're going to have problems balancing it. This one does need to come up a bit though. You'll probably actually hear the difference here. It just needs to come up. If it comes up a bit, it'll be less sounding like it's got a tone control on. And I had to use genuine DiMarzio pickup screws because the ones that came out didn't fit. So these are off a DiMarzio Super Distortion from the 80s, these screws. And they're slot heads, that's why I'm kind of stabbing the guitar with a thing. We made you, if you're going to stab a guitar with a screwdriver, you want one that's been meant to look like it's found in a skip. Entirely different. Then both of them. Right, so what's the stupid wiring then? It's only a three-way switch. Yep. So master volume, master tone. What's this one? Let's see if it works with the pickup up loud. Yeah, so it's wired like a jazz bass. They'll work with the bridge pickup as well. So P90. Maybe not as much use in them. So what it is, so it's wired like a jazz bass. We have a volume and a three-way switch for these two pickups, and this is a volume for the middle pickup, which is wired out of phase, and backwards. So I was thinking, I had it wired forwards first. I thought, no, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to do it backwards. He's going to have to try and guess what it is I've done. I'm going to give him the guitar, as I said earlier on. I'm not going to show him this video. I'm just going to go, there's your guitar, I've done it, see what you think. So he's going to sit there and he's going to go, what the hell's going on? Yeah, but it's kind of bizarre. It's actually, to be honest, the phase kind of works well that way because basically all I'm doing is turning the volume up, but because it's backwards and out of phase, it's like when you turn it up, it does seem to get louder because when it's up or when it's at 10, it's off. So you're actually turning it on by going down the way, and then when you turn it all the way down, that's it fully out of phase. And my thinking was I was going to put high pass filter in, but then I realised that the way I had it wired up before, which is what he wanted, this pickup just wasn't connected at all. So at least that's where you can get this pickup. And actually, if you turn the volume all the way down on the tone pot, and then turn the volume all the way down on this, it's just the middle pickup on its own, or it should be. So your sounds are there. You've got your middle pickup on its own. And then if you turn that all the way up, it's off. Turn it on, you get the neck pickup on its own. Both these two. And then the p90. I can't reuse the track I just did for the last guitar because it was tuned to E flat, so I'll just put something in. Tuner. p90. Neck. Both pickups with the other one on, all three pickups on, but this one at phase. Bridge pickup with this one at phase really thin. That sounds good with the fuzz. Back up. Marvellous! Yes! Oh, I'm quite pleased with it anyway. If you don't like it, you can bring it back and I'll do something a bit more normal with it. But I find it a bit more interesting. The only problem with it is really I use the existing tone pot, which isn't ideal for doing the volume thing. So it kind of works a bit like when you use an A 250 pot instead of a B 250 pot on your volume control, you kind of get everything between sort of 7 and 10, whereas at the bottom it doesn't really do it. So this is kind of the same way. So at 10, it's off, but once you get, well, maybe not. There you go. Maybe not. Maybe something to do. There's some electronic trickery going on with the backwards thing, the phase thing. So I had to flip the P90 backwards because it was in phase previously with the P90 and the original neck pickup. I'm like, when you get a humbucker, it's normally out of phase with a single coil, so you have to either swap the humbucker round backwards, which is not a good idea because if you do that, there's two wires coming off the humbucker. Well, one of them goes is the earth, which goes to the back plate, which also goes to the cover. So if you reverse the phase of that, when you touch the cover, it's like touching the end of your lead because it's live, if you know what I mean. So you want to be, if you're doing a phase thing, you either want to somehow disconnect the earth wire from the cover and put another wire on it to take the start of the coil and then have a separate earth and then you can do it. Or if you're putting it into a strat, you swap around the other two pickups because they don't really care. You just take whatever colours are, red and black, and just instead of being there and there, you put them there and there, and then that's it. Backwards. Sounds exactly the same. As you can hear there, when it's on its own, sorry, when you turn it down, it's on its own. It's not out of phase because there's nothing else on to be out of phase with. You can't have an out of phase one single coil pickup, but you can when you put it in with the neck. Then you turn it off. Humbucker. I hadn't touched the tone control, I just made sure it still worked. So interesting stuff. Yes, so here we go. Unknown 70 Strat, very actually, apart from being very rough, it's very similar to that. It's not plywood, actually, there you go. So it's not plywood, although it kind of looks like it is there. No, because I cut. No, I had to Dremel out the bit for the humbucker and all that. It's not plywood, even though it's got this. Normally you can tell a plywood guitar by the sunburst on the edge. It kind of cuts across the slopey bit, because if they didn't cut across that, you would see the edges of the plywood. I don't think this is plywood. It might have a veneer top on it, and possibly a veneer back. I think that might be what it is. So I think it's solid wood, but of maybe a not particularly desirable looking wood, you know what I mean, a bit of basswood or something like that. And then it's got like a more figured piece veneer stuck on the top and stuck on the back. That must be what it is, because it definitely wasn't plywood when I was cutting it out. Would have known, you know what I mean. Actually, it looks like mahogany now that I think about it. I never really thought about it until now. I was just out in the garage doing it. I just did it. Had to be done. So your guitar's ready, Lee. Give me a shout. I'll just need to remember to put this up after you bought it. And I wonder if you got it right. I wonder if you knew that's what it was doing. If it was me, I would have been out with the screwdriver trying to find out what was going on. And how come this vault, if you got it all off and you turn that up. I wanted it to be at 10 so that if you didn't know it was there, you just get a master tone and it's like, you know, you don't want to go, oh, you remember to put that to nothing so that it's not on. I made it backwards. Fun. Rock on. Catch you later.